Hi, it's Megan. I am going to do my first ever video book review. I'm playing around with YouTube and I figured why not try a book review. Does anybody watch book reviews on YouTube? I don't know, but we will find out. And this will be on my regular blog too. So I'm going to review The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. So first, the confession, I'm a huge Elizabeth Gilbert fan. I loved Eat, Pray, Love, and I really liked Committed. And no one's gonna think this is a stretch when I say, including probably Ms. Gilbert and her publisher themselves, for someone who's had two successful and one like phenomenon in the nonfiction world, kind of dealing with memoirs, is it really risky to write a novel? And I guess part of that comes down to expectations. Gilbert is very good at some things. She's very good at quirky little details. She's very good at kind of the inner workings of someone who is developing, not fully evolved yet, but working on that process of becoming a better and evolved person. She's good at getting obsessed with an idea and kind of following it all the way through to its logical conclusion, and her character goes there and embraces it, and just whether it's her or a fictional character, just becomes that obsession. I guess Gilbert is less good at creating a world outside of her character's vantage point and how her character sees things, which is both a strength and a weakness, right? I mean, if you engage with a character and you really fall into that world, you're all in and you're just loving it, like Eat, Pray, Love. Those of us who really embraced that book just felt like, wow, I'm with that character. I couldn't necessarily be her, but I can empathize with her. And so Gilbert's done the same thing with this novel. She also has drawn in her journalism background. So I feel like this book is part novel and part nonfiction, if that makes sense. Her main, oh God, there's a spider. Her main character, Alma, is born in Philadelphia to a father who's been very successful. He's kind of a gung-ho, go-getter guy, not exactly the most polished, maybe not the nicest person, but he's very passionate about plants, the kind of botanist, which is plant lover things. I'm not a botanist follower, so I'm not going to get the terms right, but that's not the point of the review. So anyway, he made a fortune from plants, basically. Quinine, I can't pronounce it, which he sold to kind of cure people from a lot of the ails of the 18th, 19th centuries, and then his daughter also has a love of plants. His father was someone who was passionate and really skilled with plants, so this is a lot about plants. So if you don't like plants, there's a lot of detail about plants, and you learn a lot, right? I mean, a lot of people love those kind of historical novels where you delve into a time and place and how science is advancing at that time and all the theories that are kind of stirring. And Gilbert brings that in. Abolitionists, creationism, all those questions and doubts of the people at the time and how they would evaluate these new ideas, which were so just out of the realm of possibility at that time. And she does that really well. But there are long parts of the book where you're not really delving into your character, you're delving into botany or science. Fine by me, but I think the review should tell you what's in the book so you know that you want to read this book and aren't disappointed if it's not what you expected. This is not like some light little trite, romance novel. In fact, there's not really a lot of romance in the novel. There are kind of inklings of romance, but this is not a romance novel in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's more like broken-hearted romance and conscious choices of practical, not practical origins because they're not that well founded, practical goals. So Alma is born to this family with a kind of aggressive gung-ho father who's not very polished, and then a mother that he married because she was kind of the perfect wife for him, very stable, staid, not that attractive. The daughter is just not attractive at all, but she's very, very bright and learns a lot in this household that's so about knowledge. And then in the middle of the night, she gets a new adopted sister who is gorgeous. Everything she's not. Gorgeous, controlled, small, almost big, kind of subject to her passions, which include intellectual passions. So anyway, I'm going to stop with the narrative because I don't want to give away the whole story. That's the whole point of reading the book. But overall, what did I think of the book? I think that Gilbert's got a really distinctive style. She's got a really good way of delving into her characters, and a very, the advantage of having that journalistic background is that in a book like this, she can really just take the expanse of history and sum it up with the people's history and kind of the botany and the science and everything in just a very tight, consistent narrative with those quirky little details. Sometimes it can seem contrived, I would say that, and sometimes her lesser characters are just not fully believable, but you know, no book is perfect, so I don't think that those combined really take away from the enjoyment of the book, unless you're the type who just wants something very light, in which case this book is not very light, and that's just the way it is. She's got a passion and she's writing about it, and you're either carried along or you're not. The other thing I would say about the book is that if you're a Gilbert fan, Alma is a heroine that you're probably going to embrace. She's someone who's so smart, but she just gets in her own way, and she needs to mature and get past that. And sometimes she makes some decisions that others might not support. But through that, she becomes the person in the end, an empowered woman who hopefully we can admire. So overall, I really like the book. I like books, historical novels that bring in the time and place and something that I can learn about, you know, be it botany, science, whatever else. That's the kind of book I really like. The only reason I'm really pointing that out so much is just because I want to be honest about the kind of book it is. Not because I didn't enjoy it, I really did, but so that people don't come to the book thinking that it's, you know, another Eat, Pray, Love. I know it's a cliche, but it's just the reality of the situation. So I recommend it. I think that you would really enjoy reading it if you're a fan of this type of writing. And even if not, I liked it. I'm not a fan of botany. I really like the book. Please provide feedback on my very first book review on YouTube so I can get better, and tell me whether this works or whether I should just stick to the kind of written blog, which I'll also do a written blog and link to the video. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I would love to hear, if you read the book, this thing about YouTube that's so great, I would love to hear comments or thoughts about Elizabeth Gilbert's book, The Signature of All Things. Thanks for your time.